Hello, this is Sarah with House Copper. Happy New Year to everyone. I am going to show you how to do some repair work on really vintage copper that has seen better days, that has cracks and holes and patchwork that God knows if I can figure it out. But it's this is an extremely old piece, and it has definitely seen better days. So when you're working with copper like this, you need to be cognizant of those old holes and tears. If you're not sure if they exist, especially around spouts and feet, if you can, fill it up with water and take an air hose to the entire piece, especially around any troubled pieces. Some things will be repairable, some you might want to leave well enough alone. Places that the copper is already extremely thin and brittle and has already cracked need to be treated with extreme caution, because you can make it worse, not only on yourself for repair work, but possibly even making the copper very difficult to fix in general. So I'm going to show you a really old piece. I have absolutely no exact idea of how old it is. All I know is it's old, and we'll go from there. All right, here we go.
Okay, so here's the piece. It is a coffee pot. You can tell that it is relatively handmade, probably the whole way. All of the ironwork is wrought iron, and everything else from all these different attachments are made out of hand-hammered copper. So that's one way to be aware of how old something is. If you look on the exterior, that's a hole. Anywhere where there's that vertebra, there's a good chance that those are real weak spots. It doesn't mean that they're a leak, but they're weak. Weak, haha. Look at right here. That's a crack in the copper, which means it's already extremely brittle. And I need to be very careful when I'm doing anything. If this needed to be made round to fit the lid, which thankfully it doesn't. But let's see, we have, without me dropping it, this right here, that's a patch, and it's actually from the inside, and I think it's made out of tin because the inside is rusted. So it's not iron, but it could have been tin plate put into place where that's very been repaired. And then there's, see this leg here, see how that's indented? We can try and pull that out, how it's kind of been crushed into the copper, but it may not come without risk of damaging the entire area around that leg on the inside, creating leaks. Right now, there's leaks in the cracks and the holes, but there's not leaks around these legs. If you look, here's, that's a crack in the copper right there. See it? And then up top, on the lid, the band has already started to separate. So that, and then I have all of this old crusty tin that I've tried to remove a fair amount of it, but it is literally been almost frosted on. And then I'm going to show you the patchwork from the inside. There's the patch, and it's rusted. You can even see where there's some more holes. So this is what the repair is going to look like. And there is a good chance when I put this over fire that patch is going to have all that solder come off of it, and it's going to fall off. That's a risk you take when you're doing repair work, especially something you don't know exactly what it is. But like I said, my guess is it's a piece of tin plate, which, as many of you know, are it's steel that's been electroplated or hot dipped in tin, and over time and use, that tin coating will wear off and you're left with steel, which will rust, the old steel. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I pull out some of these dents and how I'm careful of the cracks and everything like that, and hopefully won't damage this further.
Okay, I'm going to take out a lot of the dents that you see here, how it's all kind of, and I've been working on this already, just bit by bit, but you can see some of these indentations. And even like right here, I'm going to try and take out some of the additional dents close to where this is popped in. I do a combination of things. I use this hammer, and I always want to call it a ball peen, but I know it's more than that. It's from my uncle who was a blacksmith. I also will use rawhide very carefully. I have different sizes, and sometimes I even use a rubber mallet if I'm really worried. But for this, I'm going to start with this, and I'm actually going to use the bigger side because this leaves really pointy finishes, and I really don't want to make any additional dents in this copper. Lastly, what I'll do, especially on old pieces, not to protect the anvil, but to protect the copper itself from additional scratches, I will use a towel over the tinner's anvil. And all I'm doing is I'm bracing it as gently as possible. And I'm gonna see, maybe I should go this way, huh? And then I'll feel on the inside and get a good feel for where I wanna put that hammer blow. Make sure it's on exactly so it has something hard. And then I go in and sometimes I even use the edge. Sometimes the issue is there's extra solder. And if you can't tell, I'm kind of going, I'm hammering and pulling like lightly, like so I'm going hammer, pull, hammer, pull, hammer, pull. So it's kind of almost like softly pulling in that way. And that dent that was there is almost pulled completely out now. Let's see if I have another really good visual. Okay, here you can see there's like a line in the copper that's been indented in, and it's kind of crushed around it, but I have to be very careful because it's already cracked here. So I have to go extremely lightly. I'm still gonna go with metal, but I'm gonna tap it even lighter than I was doing before. And I have to be extremely aware. And if you can see, I'm pulling and hammering very slowly. You're almost like pushing the copper outwards as opposed to hammering it. You're like pushing it out. The pressure of that curved surface. It's not perfect. Let's see. There it is. Now, real light, tiny hammers. I keep an eye on the crack to my right. I can see it. And I'm going to kind of go in a circle. Like when you're raising copper, it's the same kind of idea. You're raising that copper. Maybe I got it. Some of it. I got about half of it out. I don't know if you can see. So this part is out. So it's going to take time. I'm not going to make you guys watch all of this, but I can feel that this is not going to come out. This has been crushed in, and I think the only way I can pull this out is to heat the body of copper and actually pull, which I may try to do. But if I try to smash it out now cold, it's gonna crack the copper. So what I'll do is I'll actually take a blowtorch to this, and then actually hammer it out once the copper has been annealed again. So I'm gonna do that next. So not a good workplace for this. gonna be hot when you stick your hand back in. So try not to burn yourself. The good news is the iron work will stay a little colder, as you know. But my hand going in has to be careful, because if I touch the copper, I'm gonna burn myself. And I don't always wear gloves because I like the feel. I like the feel of the hammer, so I don't always use a glove. And I'm hammering on the handle on the inside, not the copper around it, because if I did, the copper would crack. So when I'm going in, I know it's hard to see, I'm hammering on the actual iron on the inside. Now I'm going harder to move it. We've pulled it out. I don't know if you can see, but now it's no longer sunken in. So there you go, and thankfully I did not make any more cracks. So we'll keep working on this. I'll show you the next step that I do once all the repairs are made on the exterior, and then I'll finish cleaning it up with some acid, and then maybe we'll retin it in person. All right. Thank you. Let me know any questions.